Well, there were some disappointing things that I've seen in the media lately. Some very disappointing things. Now, over the past couple of months, I've actually applauded Colin Kaepernick, the quarterback of the 49ers, quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. I applauded Colin Kaepernick for his boldness. I applauded him for speaking up and standing up against an injustice, speaking up and standing up for the things that we all care about. I applauded him for his approach and the ridicule that he took, putting his career on the line at a time when he's making millions of dollars. I applauded Colin Kaepernick for taking a stand. A few days ago, Colin Kaepernick was asked, did he vote? His response was no. Colin Kaepernick was asked, was he going to vote? His response was no. Colin Kaepernick said that he was disconnected from he said that he was disconnected from the system of oppression. He's really been disconnected from the system of oppression. Here you are supposed to be the agent of change. Colin Kaepernick not voting is an embarrassment. But not only did he just not vote, he encouraged millions of kids to not vote by telling the world he didn't vote. That's what he did. He encouraged millions of kids that look up to him to not vote. Now, you're supposed to be the agent of change. You're taking a kneel at the national anthem. You're taking a kneel, which I've applauded, which I support. But I don't support this idea of not voting. Your response for not voting is it's just going to be another face at the head of oppression. Really? Really, Colin Kaepernick? Really? Is that? What is your end game here? How do you expect to get to change? What is your end game? You're not going to kneel your way to ending police brutality. You're not going to kneel your way to getting free, fair elections. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and so I'm certainly not putting anyone else on his level, but MLK organized the bus boycott. He did rallies. He negotiated, and he got a civil rights bill passed. And the fact that you didn't have to vote for these two candidates, you did not have to vote for these two candidates. You could have did like many of us did and voted for a third-party candidate and said enough is enough. We're no longer going to be pushed to vote for the lesser of the two evils anymore. You could have did exactly what we did and said enough is enough and voted for a third-party candidate. Because voting for the lesser of the two evils is the most brilliant strategy ever used against us to keep a rigged system in place. It's what keeps us in neutral. It's what keeps us from progressing forward. It's what continuously get us treated like a side piece while the politicians pay all their attention to the big money donors that give them millions of dollars to their campaign. I agree with that, 100%. But not only did you not vote, what about the down ticket races? What about the issues on the ballot? There's nothing in this country that has been accomplished without voting, period. I don't care what no one says. Not voting, really? You know who would love to have you around? While they were trying to put the civil rights bill together, while they were trying to put the voting rights bill together, those that were supporting of the Jim Crow laws, the Jim Crow advocates, those that didn't want us to vote, would have loved to have you around back then to make the case why you shouldn't vote anyway. They would have loved to have you around. And this right here is a disappointment. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, any media person around Colin Kaepernick, take the camera out of his face. Period. I don't want to see it no more. I don't even want to see it. I don't want to see anyone covering him about kneeling. Done with it. Start throwing some touchdowns, what you hadn't been doing recently. And I feel like it's fair criticism because you're supposed to be the agent of change. That's what you're supposed to be, the agent of change. But then you encourage people to not participate in the process together. What you did is bankrolling systematic racism. By not voting, you're bankrolling systematic racism. If voting didn't matter, then they wouldn't spend millions and even billions of dollars to try to keep us from voting. They gutted the anti-civil rights bill, Colin. They gutted parts of the civil rights bill, the Voting Rights Act, just a couple of years ago. And you think it doesn't matter? They had voter ID laws, these weird laws in these different states, all to keep people from not voting, all to encourage people from not voting, to suppress the vote. to suppress the vote. I don't think this is engaged in hyperbole, Moses. Not at all. Not at all. When you're an agent of change, when you put yourself out there, when you're willing to try to fight for the issues that you care about, and I actually believe that you care about them, but you have to understand what you, by not voting, and then by you encouraging other people not to vote also, you're not progressing us forward. I can't support this. And this, listen, I like Colin. I still like Colin. Have to hold those you like accountable when they're wrong. You have to. You have to hold those that you like accountable when they're wrong. And I applaud Colin, but what I don't support bankrolling systematic racism. You bankrolling systematic racism without even realizing that you're doing it. I'm just saying, Moses, when you are a public figure, an athlete, and you influence kids, when you're someone that people looks up to, and you tell the world that you didn't vote. Not only did you just tell the world that you didn't vote, but you said that you've been disconnected from the oppression of systematic racism. That's not going to make it go away by ignoring it. You see what I'm saying? You're not going to make systematic racism go away by ignoring it. Think about this. Put yourself in a position of those that came before us. Put yourself in the position of MLK and all those that came before us, the Malcolm X's of the world, and all those people. If they ignored injustice, they might as well become an accomplice to it. When you ignore injustice, especially when you put yourself out there on the line and want to be as an agent of change, what you do is you become a part of the problem. You are the very reason it exists. It's the responsibility of everyone. Correct. Voting is a responsibility for everyone. I agree with you on that. It's not just him, but the reason that we're talking about Colin right now is because he has a platform. He has used this platform to bring attention to injustices, right? So by him bringing attention to injustice, he got to be consistent. You can't 1 minute say that you're going to kneel until we stop police brutality, but then you don't go vote. Think about stop and frisk laws and things like that. If voting actually play a role in those type things. There's a lot of issues that he could have voted on by voting. There's a lot of down ballot races he could have voted on. He could have voted for a third party like we did. He chose not to even do that. And he encouraged others to do the same. That's what a problem comes in at. When public figures take the position of wanting to be a part of real change, then they have to own up to it and see it through. You can't do it half-assed. You just can't. And look, I like Colin. I support what the guy's doing. I support what he did in the past, but right now he loses some credibility with me right now. He should lose credibility with a lot of us. Hey, Kyle, do I think black people should still reward Democrats even though they have left them behind? Kyle, that's a great question. And the answer to that question is hell no. Not only should black people not reward Democrats when they've left them behind, but nor should white people either. Because it's not even just a race issue when it comes to the Democratic Party. We need to stop giving them our vote without asking for anything in return. They treat us like the side piece, while those that write the huge campaign contributions to them, they get all the play. They get all the play. They focus on them while they ignore us. Moses, I agree, gerrymandering is a huge problem. But gerrymandering is a huge problem. But ignoring these issues are not going to actually make them go away. Saying that you're disconnected to systematic racism is not going to make it go away. But you guys are making some points here. I mean, I can't. You guys make some great points. But my whole point is, if you're going to be if you're going to be the agent of change, then be the agent of change. You're being counterproductive right now. When as one moment you want to kneel until we stop police brutality, which I have supported in the past. I've done live streams on it. Look back at any of my live streams, you'll see I supported Colin Kapernick. But like we said also, when it comes to real progressives, when you're wrong, we're going to hold you accountable. When you're right, we're going to give you credit. That's all. Sandeep, what's going on, Sandeep? He didn't want to become a political statement. Leave the guy alone and talk about something better. What's more better? I mean, it's I'm sorry this doesn't sound sexy to you. I'm sorry that but this is some of the issues that we face. It's some of the issues we face. We have to be really willing to talk about the tough things that need to be covered. And this is something that should be talked about. It should be talked about. And I say it with no apologies. You can't be the agent of change when our most sacred right you ignore. You can't be. You can't be. No, all of us here voted because you know what? We do believe a lot of people are being oppressed. We do believe voting for the lesser of the two evils is the most brilliant strategy to ever be used against us. But we also know that we have a voice. And what we did was we voted for a third party candidate. And the establishment are put on notice now. They put on notice that they're no longer going to just get our vote because we're just going to blindly be a party loyalist. Them days are over. The days of us supporting a party just because of who they are is over. You're going to have to show us some meat and potatoes. You're going to have to show us some issues. You're going to have to show us some policies. How are you going to get us there? What are the plans to get us there? We're done with the politics of identity politics. We're done with that. We done with that. We're done with that. What's up, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, you say you like what he's doing too, but you can't ask him to carry your agenda and take the flag for it. The agenda is the same. The agenda that he's fighting for is the same. This is what he signed up for. He signed up to fight oppression, to stand up for an injustice. So it just seems like taking a stand on one of the biggest days in our country would actually maybe get us closer to where we want to get. And listen, voting doesn't solve all the problems. We're not gonna. This revolution is not. It's gonna take more than just voting. It's gonna take us taking it to the streets. It's gonna take us calling our congressmen. It's gonna take us putting pressure on Washington. It's gonna take us learning economics. Economics is king. That's why almost in every stream I mention economics at some part of the time. Economics is king. Until we learn economics, basic economics, we're not going anywhere anyway. We have to do that. We have to teach our people basic economics. And that's okay for us to disagree on methods. That's okay. We don't want to mix the method with the objective. We want to stay focused on what we all agree on. I 100% agree with that. But when we see something as blatantly as this, it has to be drawn. Attention has to be called to it. Attention has to be called to it because there were a lot of issues on the ballot that could have been voted on. A lot of issues that he cared about that could have been voted. It's not just Colin Kapernick here. And don't get me wrong. There are millions of people that didn't vote because they're disgusted with the process. They've given up on the process because the process has failed so many people. The gaslighting from the DNC, the Republican Party, a complete joke and complete shambles. The Democratic Party is a complete joke, but they all are bought off. They all are bought off. But what we're saying here is give these third parties a chance. Give them a chance to shock the world and scare the hell out of the establishment. That's all we're saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm Kendall Sullivan, and I'm just going to leave it there. Have a great night, guys, and thanks for the discussion.